Present day woman, woman, woman in every way. Yeah, yeah. I'm living my life, living day by day. Yeah, yeah. Are you in
Welcome to Every Way Woman. There are some major changes happening in the talk show world.
Live from Los Angeles, here's Every Way Woman.
Welcome to Every Way Woman. So it's time to buckle up and take charge, face those imperfections. How do you do it, Cheryl?
Well, you know what? I'm fortunate to have been blessed with a very, very healthy dose of confidence. So, quite frankly, I don't let mine bother me all that much. A funny story I think of is, a while back, my ex-boyfriend and I, he was my boyfriend at the time, we were, hanging out on the couch at my place, and we decided we wanted to go grab some dinner. And so we looked like, we left the house looking like we just came off the couch.
You were couch potatoes.
We were couch potatoes. And then we drove into town, and we saw this restaurant, the Gaucho Grill, and we decided, why don't we just go in? So we went in there knowing good and well we looked like crud, but we sat down and we had a meal. And since then, it became a tradition of ours to actually go back to that restaurant and intentionally look like crap. And it didn't matter because it's like,
Wait, hold on. She said she want to go to the restaurant and look like a bum. Where is this restaurant located?
Downtown Long Beach. She didn't have a reservation. She
no
got the table.
reservation.
But
Look, I barely had shoes on.
I find it really interesting though, because coming from the fashion industry as a model, where a lot of times these differences or these imperfections were celebrated as uniqueness. Their eyes are a little too close together. They've got this gap tooth, and all of a sudden they're exotic beauties. And for me and most of the women I know, we look at ourselves in the mirror and we think, something's wrong with me. I hate this. I got to change that. I wonder how much it costs for a nose job. How old do I have to be to start my Botox? I mean, I see everything that's wrong with me, and it's really hard to think that those are things that make me individual or that I should celebrate.
Well, I think sometimes that it starts with our parents and our brothers and our siblings and our family.
That's true.
Because growing up, I had a grandmother, and I love her dearly. Now that she's gone.
That was a heavy thought. Now that she's gone.
I mean, God bless her soul.
Bless your grandma. Moving on.
Okay. But one of the things she used to say all the time is, as I was getting older, I have freckles. And I had them a lot as a kid. And she would look at me and go, ugh. And then she'd move on. And that was her thing.
We have a lot in common, Madison. Because my grandma used to tell me, I used to love popsicles and like ice cream sandwiches. And she'd be like, girl, you gonna be as big as this house, girl. Because I have a big booty. Yes. And if I can get my booty sucked, I would, just a little bit. Some people want to keep their stuff, but I would like to get mine sucked up a little bit. But she used to say, you keep eating those ice cream sandwiches, you're gonna be as big as this house. And I was skinny as a toothpick.
Right.
I lived in San Francisco. I walked up hills and mountains. How
Oh
fat
my
was I
God.
gonna live? Like, really?
The thing is though, did it give you the complex? Were you worried about being imperfect in that?
As far as my booty,
I think it does. It plays with you a little bit.
I mean, now that I'm older, my daughter has she's 8, she has a little pop belly, and I'm like, ooh, but I try not to make up a song or tell her not to eat popsicles. I really want her to enjoy herself.
Make up a song.
There was a mom, she used to make up a song like, ooh, that big belly, and so.
My niece does the same thing.
See, they get that when they get 8 years old.
Your niece does the same thing to you?
She does the same thing to me the other day. She's only 2. But
And she was singing to your belly?
To my belly. When touching it, I'm like,
After my son was about a year ago, and I'm a fit person. I consider myself to be extremely fit. And my son looked at me, and I had gotten a little chubby. I was kind of depressed. I had just started my divorce, and my son looked at me and touched my belly, and he goes, having another baby, mommy.
You touch your belly?
Yeah, and he's going, you have another baby, mommy? And I went, oh my gosh. What am I going to do?
I think my whole point to my niece doing that to me, let's get real. I lost 160 pounds.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Obviously, thank you. But obviously, that was my, I have a lot of imperfections, and that's one of them because I still struggle with that, But at the same time, I can't be looking at all my imperfections. I've learned to embrace them.
Right.
And that is one of the reasons that I ended up you know, being on the cover of that magazine that I actually took, and I said, okay, you know, because
You
know,
celebrated
what's
those curves,
but
as you should.
What's the stereotype of being on a cover? Skinny, right? And I put,
You know,
I got a corset on, and I got
I have a Coca-Cola a body, but I would love for my hips and like just my booty just to get. Maybe I'm still on that tip.
Right, you
Just
are.
to get like a little
Thank you,
firm,
Mom.
like I want the muscle. I want muscle there.
You want a few less minutes in your hourglass?
What do we
It
look at?
jiggles sometimes, but I was teased. I was teased. in
But
elementary.
sometimes women look at, generally speaking, they did a survey. Women look at what's attractive, and we tend to look at what's on the thin side, including our men. The men look at what's attractive. They tend to look on what's on the heavy side.
Right.
Men don't look at Cosmopolitan and go, that girl
Right.
is hot. They look
That
at
is
Maxim.
true.
You know what I think is really
That's true.
interesting though
That's
in
true.
this conversation is that when we are referring to imperfections, we are all talking about our bodies. And that's really telling of where our focus is, because none of us have talked about our imperfections in, you know, our habits or our personalities or our lifestyles.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't have any.
That's
I'm
a
not
good
speaking
point.
from experience. But
That's a good point.
But you know, because it does start from the outside. Because a lot of times what we feel on the inside is what we reflect and see on the outside. That's why we focus
You
on the
know,
outside,
I-
because it's the easiest thing to hit first.
Thank you, Dr.
In terms of
Madison.
work.
It's like I'm in therapy right now. It's like they told me to look in the mirror, and and my therapist at one point did say that. He said, you know, when you look in the mirror, what you're seeing when you see these imperfect reflections is really just what you're struggling and what you're fearing inside of you. And those are the imperfections that we have to deal with. That's the only way we're ever going to really embrace and love the perfection in our own perfection.
You know what? Now that I'm older, though, I don't really want to take that much ice cream sandwiches. I mean, because now I know the outcome is my big butt.
But I liked what Anna was saying earlier, because sometimes what can be perceived as an imperfection is what makes you beautiful.
Wow.
So it is kind of learning for yourself, because if we look at ourselves in pieces, we can all break each other apart and break ourselves apart. But what does it look like as a whole? And what does it feel like as a whole?
But if I was to like look at myself and pinpoint at an imperfection that doesn't have to do with my looks, it would probably be that I'm too hard on myself.
Wow.
Too hard on myself,
we're
and
all
that's
too hard on
truthful.
ourselves.
And I had to have somebody here tell me that, so I realized that. You know, it's like, oh man, she's right.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I did make a New Year's resolution to drive around with a clean car, inside and out.
Wow.
Not doing so well with that.
Well, thank you. We'll watch for your shiny car at the valet. We'll be right back. Coming up next, more Every Way Woman.
I'm gonna go and live my life. If that means working 9 to 5, cause I'm an everyway woman. Hard working 24/7, man, I've got to tell 'em I'm an everyway woman.
You think being a mom and a wife is easy? We have Danielle here to let us know it's not.
Welcome back to Everyway Woman with Danielle Adisi for Real Moments with Real Moms. Danielle Adisi, you've just had a baby about a year ago.
Yep.
Yes, you had a 4th of July baby.
Yep.
What was that like?
Oh man. Well, actually, I was afraid that when I approached the due date, I would be very afraid. But it was so miserable. By the end, you're just so grateful. You didn't even.
To be
You're just like, oh,
celebrating?
thank God. Yeah. My family came out and they were all just waiting. It was a week after the due date. I was afraid they were going to have to go, and it was just. I was really glad when went into labor and stuff.
How was Holiday and staff? Because it's the 4th of July.
Yeah, she was actually born the 1st, and then we stayed in till the 3rd. So by the 4th of July, we were able to watch from our own home the fireworks, and that was really wonderful.
So this is your first year of motherhood.
Yeah.
What would you say is the most rewarding part about it?
Man, when she cuddles, she's a very active child. She hardly ever sits still. So when she finally calms down and takes that moment to really appreciate me, and that look in her eyes, that's just, I can't, nothing is like that in the entire world.
Was there something within this first year that you didn't expect? Like, we all get the book, moms get that book,
Yep.
What to expect when you're
expecting.
but then there are things we don't expect. So was there something that you didn't expect?
Yes. When I became, when I was pregnant, I knew there would be days where I was very overwhelmed. I knew there would be late nights, there would be hard moments. What really struck me was that it never ends. it never ever ends for even just a moment, and just it's like a marathon. You know, I was ready for some sprints, but it doesn't ever, slow down. So yeah, and that was really difficult with my family not being around. They live in Wisconsin. I moved to LA about 2 years ago, so that was a big surprise.
So you're a metropolitan lady. Married, yes.
Yes.
And how is it with your husband? Now, you've been married how long?
2.5 years.
2.5 years, so pretty
It was
early
earlier
on.
than we expected, yeah. But I mean, it's amazing. Yeah, he is absolutely incredible. Surviving in the city together does put some strain, especially with the baby. We've really worked hard to be supportive, but it's hard when you look at each other and you see the tiredness in the eyes. It's difficult.
Yes. Now, what would you say is the thing that you've done, that he's done for you, that has really been supportive, that maybe you didn't expect?
Wow, he's done so many things. Everything from just housework. That's something I wasn't really expecting him to do.
Are you working?
I am. I do. Yeah. When I first I went back to work at 6 weeks. I work at Starbucks for the health insurance benefits, and he earns the income. But I went back at 6 weeks. I was working 35-hour work weeks. I've cut back to about 15. It's kind of slowly. I've become more honest with myself. At the beginning, I was like, I can do this.
What does that mean when you said you became more honest with yourself?
I realized that you can do only so much. You can do a million things, but you can't necessarily do them well. And
is that because you didn't feel like, sometimes you hear that, oh, the super mom.
Yeah.
I can do this, I can do that, we can do everything. Did you feel like the challenge of living up to super mom was unrealistic?
Yeah. Well, I to be completely honest, the way I would get through on the days that I would qualify as super mom was a ton of coffee. And that really had a detrimental effect on nursing. And so
you nursed your babies?
I did,
Or
yeah.
your baby.
Yeah.
I nursed my babies.
Yeah, it was amazing.
And
difficult.
I thought it would be amazing. The first 3 months or so was not that
painful.
amazing. Yeah. At one point I thought, I remember holding my son and thinking, I'm supposed to love this, but it just hurts.
Yeah. I thought right after the baby was born, I'm done. The worst is, and it was incredibly painful. It kept going.
Yes.
I was surprised.
Now you seem like you're in pretty good shape. And how was that for you, coming out of getting back to the main flow of things? What about your body?
See, I'm not back to what I was, and that's difficult for me. My strategy tends to be whenever I have my life is a little bit saner, I'll do cleanses, because there's less to think about. I know a more consistent approach is probably longer term lasting, but
Like exercise?
Oh, exercise! Yeah. Exercise is. You know what? We just joined the Y, and that has been absolutely incredible.
I love that you said that you joined the Y. I think it's wonderful. The Y is a place that touches me, and it's family and everything. So that's really great that you could do that.
Yeah. Well, and I didn't realize the impact of 2 hours of childcare a day. That's the only moment I get to myself in a day. So that's been huge.
Yes. So it is. It's challenging being a new mom and being honest with yourself about what the approaches are. Not everything about being a new mom is a dream. But thank you, Danielle, for coming here and sharing your moments with us. And we can help bring a little of truth to childbearing, child rearing. Is there any advice you'd like to give to our audience?
Yeah, I would just say that I would encourage you to feel like you have permission to feel like you can do less and still be super mom.
Do less and still be super mom. Thank you.
After this commercial break, more Every Way Woman.
I'm gonna go and live my life. If it means working 9 to 5, cause I'm an everyway woman. Hard working 24/7, man, I've got to tell 'em I'm an everyway woman.
Here at Everyway Woman, we talk about everything, including taboo health topics. Today, Dr. Sherry Thomas is going to give us a little information about menopause, or as my mother told me, the change. Do people still refer to it as the change?
Oh, yeah.
Wow. tell me, what is the problem? Why do women have a difficult time accepting menopause?
Well, it's not just the word menopause, it's the changes that go on in the physiology of our body. And one of the biggest problems is the problem sleeping.
Okay.
So those personal summers, hot flashes, cause us to not sleep at night. And as a result, we have some personality changes. It causes us not to think well. Women multitask all the time.
Right.
I mean, the first 2 weeks of our menstrual cycle, lots of estrogen, lots of multitasking.
And we do a good job at it, my ad.
But when we go through menopause, we don't produce as much estrogen, so we don't multitask, but also then we don't sleep well. And that sleeping just really destroys our ability to have reserve and to think and to really deal with all those issues we deal with when we're having periods.
So in addition to hot flashes, personal summers, and not sleeping, what are some of the other symptoms of menopause?
Well, drier skin, especially in the vaginal area, which causes pain with sexual activity,
Okay.
Or may cause more bladder infections. Osteoporosis. We also catch up with men with heart disease about 10 to 15 years later because of going through the change. And our body, just the physiology is that we just start aging a little faster. And as women, we just hate aging anyway. So I think that's why women have such a negative connotation about menopause, is like, now I'm really going to age.
You know what? I agree with that. I think that is why women do, because you come to terms with, I'm getting older, and there's something about aging that just kind of messes with our psyche. But what are some of the health risks if I don't address this menopause, the change, aging? What are some of the health risks?
Well, let's back up to how we can go through menopause without the health risks, and that is, let's start about taking good care of ourselves, making sure we see our physician every year, keep our cholesterol and blood pressure and glucose under control, not smoking, exercise, eat well, and have a nice social life with our friends and our family. When we start going through menopause, there's a lot of things we can do without hormones. And we know estrogen will help the hot flashes, but how can we get through it? Well, let's keep our weight down, let's cut down on the alcohol, especially at night, because that will really increase the hot flashes.
So you're saying a little nip at night is not good for the ladies?
Oh, you know, a little nip with dinner is fine, but a little nip before you're going to go to bed, it really heats you up and causes more hot flashes. We know that. Plus, to get rid of those hot flashes and let us sleep better, cool your body down. Take a little cool, not cold, shower, or go in the pool.
But let me ask you this. As my doctor, you will help me through this process. What should I be looking for, or how would you help me if I come in and I say, I'm going through the change? How will you help me, or how should I know that my doctor is my advocate through menopause?
Well, I want to ask you symptoms, and specifically which symptoms you're having: hot flashes, problems thinking, problems concentrating, dry skin, pain with sexual activity. And then I want to ask you, how much is that bothering you? How much is that affecting your life? If you tell me, you know, I have a few hot flashes here and there, but it's not a problem, I'll say, well, let's just see how you do, but let me know if it becomes worse. And if you say, I am so overwhelmed, that's why I'm here today, I'll say, let's talk about how we can change things.
Now, what about premenopause? Because there's the notion that, you know, women later in age, but I know some people who are close to me that started their menopause or the change in their late 30s, early 40s, or even in their mid 30s.
Yes, that happens. We call that premature ovarian failure. Our ovaries produce estrogen and release follicles at a time that's genetically predetermined. Basically, when our mother goes through the change, we will. But some women, their body doesn't pay attention to that. And so in their 20s, 30s, they just stop producing estrogen. And that is very significant and very upsetting for them, because we know as women between 45 and 55, we're going to go through the change. But when women start doing that at 25, first of all, it may take them a few doctors to really diagnose what's going on. No, it's not a thyroid problem. No, you're not having some infection. No, you are going through the change. And then we start treating it appropriately.
Because I know you talked about some of the health risks by not going to the doctor. So if I'm having those symptoms, what should I do tomorrow? What should I do tomorrow? If I'm hot flashing, or what should I do tomorrow?
So if you're having hot flashes and you say, gee, I didn't sleep well, get a fan out, take a little cool shower, go swim the night before, don't drink the alcohol, not high spicy foods, see how you get through the night. If you feel like the next day, "Ugh, I'm still just wrung out, I'm miserable, I can't go to the meeting. Every time I sit through a meeting, I'm drenched. I just feel beet red and uncomfortable. Go see your doctor." The fastest, quickest way to get rid of hot flashes is taking estrogen.
Well, hopefully a lot of people will be making doctor appointments today. Listen, ladies, in order to take care of others, you have to take care of yourself. If you're having a personal summer, feeling a little hot flash, or just not sleeping well, you could be starting to change. Stay tuned, Everyway Woman. We'll be right back.
We'll be back with Everyday Fitness.
I'm gonna go and live my life. If that means working 9 to 5, cause I'm an everyway woman. Hard working 24/7, man, I've got to tell 'em I'm an everyway woman.
We're back with Everyway Woman, and our own Stacy Lewis is now a Zumba instructor. So Stacy, how has your quest for fitness changed your life?
I'm healthier, I'm happier, and I'm definitely lighter.
You sure are. You are looking good.
Girl, and I owe that to Zumba. Thank you, thank you.
I want to know, like, how has your mental life changed?
Well, I'm gonna start doing some moves and I'll talk to you about that. I brought my girl Felicia. Let's do a little warm up. My mental life has changed. I just started loving myself, right? For a long time, I didn't love myself and I just let myself go after 22 years of marriage, 3 kids. And one day I woke up and I started dealing with the baggage in my life and I realized that I was better than that. So I took charge and here we go. Come on, Felicia, let's move those hips.
And how did you decide on Zumba?
Well, it has a Latin influence. And I have Latin in my heritage, and the music in Zumba is just so refreshing. You get to move those hips.
And we don't have music going on right now.
Okay.
But it's playing in your head, right?
Exactly. And it also gives you really a great workout. You get to move every part of your body.
I'm like bouncing around with you guys.
And you still feel sexy. So even though you'll sweat, you still got the sexy move. Let's break it down, Felicia.
So is Zumba for everyone? I mean, I can't see my mom doing these moves. I mean, but
why? Mama can break it down.
But what about people who need low impact? Can they modify the?
Felicia. Okay.
Can you modify it?
Yes, for our more mature ladies, they may not want to take it here, so they just may want to be
very dainty. Oh, that's very
with
dainty.
It.
Very dainty.
Right? Then you have maybe someone else who says, well, I don't want to quite be here with this, Stacy. I want to do a little bit more, so they can just go.
And is it for all ages?
All ages. Little children to mature age can participate in Zumba.
And how many men do you have coming into your classes?
Well, it depends on what they're coming for.
They're getting an eye workout, aren't they?
Most of them come to work out, but there are the ones who come because oftentimes women wear the little belly dancing garment, and so let's do it, Felicia, shaking it.
There you
and
go.
So you know,
look at that.
the men are like, oh, okay.
Well, do they do these moves too?
Look.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you take these moves to the dance floor?
Dance floor, yeah, Zumba.
I mean, like, are you going out on a Friday night with your husband and like doing your Zumba routine?
I do them when he needs to see them. Yes, I do.
But like, how is it different from dancing to aerobics and fitness?
Well, you know, I think there's really not, as you can see, I'm kind of getting breath in now. It's just the liveliness, the fun of it. The music, the moves, you can work your legs, you can work your arms.
And Felicia's got a big old smile on her face.
But you're
love
still
it.
dancing. You don't feel restricted, you know, in the gym when you're doing your weights and
you got
you're doing
that
your
serious
squats.
look, yeah.
You know, as our Yolanda, whoa, you're doing great. You just feel sexy. And so you can gyrate, right? But you're still just sexy and free.
Oh, you are working it. I love these moves. I'm going to start doing a few.
Woo!
And we'll be back. When we come back, you'll get to know more of our everyday women with Everyway Woman. There we go. We're doing it.
Everyway Woman gives back to the community. Go to everywaywoman.com to find out how you can match our donations of undergarments for needy kids. Thanks for getting to know Everyway Woman.
This has been an Everyway Woman production.
Whether I'm just waiting or sitting at home, staying just to wash my clothes, I'm gonna go and live my life. If that means working 9 to 5, cause I'm an everyway woman. I'm an everyway woman. Independent, I know I meant it. It's no surprise. hard-working, 24/7. Man, I've got to tell 'em I'm an everyday woman. Are you an everyday woman? Whether I'm just waiting or sitting at